Okay, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another Muffins of Morgan, and this time I believe I got the streaming right. You should be got the notification. You should be here. So if you are here, you see the questions. As I always say, where are you tuning in from, y'all? Where are you tuning in from? We always like to hear that. So let us know where you're tuning in from. I love to see the different cities we have here across the board. I want to shout out to a couple of people before we throw in our theme song, because y'all heard it last time. Our theme song's pretty lit that we got, but shout out to Lauren. In the room, we got Elliot, Tom. We got some other people coming in. Neil's coming in. I'm trying to see everybody because some people have LinkedIn users. So shout out to you. We see someone said Stokes. Shout out to you. We got the boxing gloves in here. Shout out to you as well. We got San Diego in the building. We have Toronto in the building. We have Canada also in the, well, Toronto's in Canada. So Canada in the building. We got people on Twitch. Shout out to Twitch. Shout out to LinkedIn. We got YouTube Live as well. So y'all, I'm fired up. This is going to be another special episode. However, if you haven't been here before, what exactly do we do? So on Muffins of Morgan, we take an hour and we answer your sales questions, your marketing questions, even your personal questions. We got some personal questions, not like rated R personal questions, but I will answer personal questions in your career because it's a very tough time right now. I wrote this in my newsletter yesterday. Subscribe if you haven't to the commission letter. But I talked about how this is a very difficult time right now, and it's hard, y'all. It's hard. But at the same time, we're going to get the most out of this. We're going to get through, and we're going to continuously be optimistic and positive and skill up to get where we need to go. So shout out to the homie James. First of all, shout out to everybody. Got the air horns in the building. All right, y'all. So as we get into it, I got to play this song again. Y'all remember this song from last time? This song is heat, y'all. This is such a good song. Like, every time I hear this song, I'm like, this needs to be a remix. I don't even know. I found it on my soundboard, and I was like, this song is legendary. It's a legendary song. But all right, y'all. So let's get into what we're here for, and this is to answer your questions. So if you have questions, let us know and throw them in the chat. That's what we're here for as well. So again, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat across the board. And so let's do that. So let's get into it. But shout out to everybody here. We have a really good crowd across the board. Lori, welcome to the show. Throw in your questions from the sales, marketing, and career perspective. There's a lot that we can dive into depending on where you want to start. Hopefully y'all had a great week. You're excited for your Friday, excited for your weekend across the board, and we're ready to get into it. So as people think about what their question is and what they want to talk about, whatever it is and how you want to present it, there is something that someone asked me the other day, so we can dive into that question. People have been asking me, no one's going to be surprised what I'm about to say. People have been asking me about Chat GPT, and I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to know about it? And a lot of people right now are asking, can it write my personalized emails, etc. I don't recommend that. What I do recommend for Chat GPT, if you want to do that, is look, you should, right? Let's give y'all example. I would, if I was using ChatGPT, I am actually using ChatGPT, is I ask it for information and data. So right now you're probably going out and like doing research, right? And you're like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go do some research and go look into my accounts and figure out what's there. You have a better opportunity if you go and do research through ChatGPT. You could be like, hey, I'm looking to prospect into this company. Can you give me 10 pieces of information, or can you give me 10 like clues that I can use? And so by using those clues that you can use, ultimately what's going to end up happening is it's going to set yourself up for success, right? And because you can set yourself up for success, right, ultimately at the end of the day, right, through the goal of what you're looking for, it's going to allow you, right, to have a better opportunity to find facts and then use the facts to then write a personalized email. So that's like what I would say there in terms of like ChatGPT. Some people have asked me the question, but I wanted to go to that as well. And shout out to everybody on the show. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We always love hearing where people are at, right, across the board as well. So let's see. We got a couple questions coming here. I'm going to answer the question around the discount, but we have a question from the Twitch side. I think this is a really good question here. Let's put this up. Boom. How do you get the knowledge cut off of 2020 GPS? That's a great question. I think they're coming out with a new version soon that's like even more expansive, more crazy. So I would just say stay tuned for that. The thing that I would tell you, because I only know a certain amount, continuously ask it questions to get better information. That's just the thing that you have to do, right? AI learns over time by the way, by how you ask it certain questions, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just asking it more layering questions. So if it gives me information, I'm like, okay, like find information in the 10K report, and then it's like find information at this part of the 10K report. So it's around how granular and like contextualize you ask your questions that will then set you up for the success that you're looking for. So that would be my answer to that question. I'm not a huge, I'm not big into AI. I haven't done enough research to give an like a legitimate right answer there, but that's what I would do there as well. All right, so let's bring this back. Let's bring up another question here. I think this is a really good question. I'm about to close an opportunity, but I keep getting asked for a discount. So what I want you all to think about when you have a discount is don't use the words discount. That's actually the first pieces of that. There's two things that you want to use in your language. One is say creativity. The second is you can be flexible, right? So it's either you want to be creativity or it's even creativity, right? But then also you want to be like respectful, right? So one of the things right across the board that you want to be able to do right is say, hey, understand that you're probably looking for a discount here due to the season that's happening, etc. But really what you want to be able to do here is say, hey, like I can be creative and flexible with you. And so instead of discounting the price, you just add on to whatever you are offering. So I don't know what you could add on, but think about that. Maybe it's extra customer hours, maybe you go on site, maybe there's something you can add to the product, I don't know, but you don't ever you want to aim to not discount. You want to aim to give them more things so you can still get the price, but you're just giving them more so they feel like, oh, this is a reasonable deal now, but you don't have to discount. So that's what I would say there is that don't discount, just find ways to be creative and flexible so that you can get what you're looking for there. So I'm hoping that helped, right? Because right now it's like it's like a boxing ring out there. It's a grueling time. So by saying, hey, how can I be creative and flexible, that will then allow you to then get that response that you're looking for. So that's what I would say there. So hopefully that helps answer the question. If it did, let me know and we could dive into the next thing. Okay, so this is a good question too. I have an easy interview today. What is your best interview tip for anyone listening? So I have 3 tips. And by the way, y'all, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Always excited to see everyone here live, engaged in the conversation. But let's answer this as well. So when it comes to the interview process, the number one thing that you need to prepare for is making sure you have a question. Making sure you have what? I was like shocked for some people. Like, wait, what? Make sure you have questions at the end. This is key. At the end of your interview. Most people at the end of the interview, they're like, oh, yeah, like I don't have any questions. That's a huge route for failure, right? That's just like like that's what you don't want to do. All right, so you want to make sure that you have some type of questions at the end of the interview. You can ask like, hey, like based on this interview so far, what have been like the most helpful things that you've learned, or the most of the things that helpful learn from me to be applicable. You could be 2 and say, hey, like, what are some things that I should be mindful of when I start the job. Or 3 is like, what are some unique things about your company that I may not know about? These are all things across the board, right? You need to make sure you have some type of questions prepared at the end of that interview, right? So that's number 1. Number 2 is understanding what industry you're in, right? So a lot of people, they'll get on this interview and they don't even know what the product is or the industry, or they've done nothing, right? So understand what the industry is so you can have those just conversations, and making sure that when you come to the interview, you've done a little bit of research, you've looked at the case studies, and you can speak to the audience, right? 3, I think a lot of people don't do this, and this is like really helpful if you can do it the right way, is as you're in the interview process, right? And you're meeting with these different people and you're having these different conversations, I would try to identify what are the things that they're looking for from the career page and bring that into the interview. So let me explain what that means. So on the majority of websites, they have a careers page, right? Yes. And then on the account executive, they say, here are the responsibilities of the account executive. So what are you going to do there? what you're going to do there from the account executive realm is you're going to look at what are the 3 to 5 responsibilities that this person has. And you might be like, okay, well, one of their responsibilities is to self prospect and to understand LinkedIn and to be I don't know, self-sufficient. I'm just making things up. So now what I'm going to do in the interview is say, hey, like one of the things that I noticed on your careers page is you talked about an AE who could do self-prospecting, be self-sufficient, and understand LinkedIn. Here are the things I've done in my career to do that, right? So now you're having a great conversation, you're having just a good dialogue, and now you're moving in the right direction moving forward. So these are just things that I would keep in mind and make sure that you can do so that ultimately you can be successful. So Lauren, let me know if that was helpful. And then everyone in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if that was helpful for you as well to use in maybe a future interview you're going to have, or you're a hiring manager and you're there as well. So that's the way that I would go about it, y'all. That is the way that you can do it. So, all right, we got some good questions that have been asked here so far. If people have more questions, feel free to chime in here as well. But that's like how I would go about it. The interview process really just comes down to, are you being unique? Are you being creative? And is there a way to go about it? Also, this is pretty crazy. Neil, is this like, wait, this is pretty wild. Like, did you just type that in Chat GPT? Like, who is Morgan Ingram or something? Like, how did you get all that information? I'm very curious on like where you even got that from. So that's pretty wild across the board if that is the case. Oh my goodness, that's actually insane across the board if that's an actual thing. So there's that. All right, y'all. So we got some good questions that came in here. I think I've answered them so far. If you have more questions you're listening in, feel free to chime in with the questions. Hopefully everyone's having a good Friday. So that's what I would do there. When you come to the interview process, the key across the board is asking quality and key questions, right? Asking quality and key questions. And that way people will be intrigued to want to talk to you. And if they're intrigued, they want to talk to you, right? It's going to end up being a way better opportunity for you across the board, right? So don't forget to ask the questions, come prepared, actually look diligent to some degree, right? And you'll be successful, because most people, that is not what they're doing, right? And that's leading to not as much success, the lacklusterness, and all the different things that happen across the board, right? So you want to make sure that you're able to do that so that people see the value. They're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And now you're having the dialogue there. So there's that. Now, to Scott, your point, absolutely right. Questions are a must. If you're not asking these questions, like, I really have no idea what you're doing, right? Because you're just sitting there in the interview and you're just going to be like, this is like not for me. All right. So let us know what other questions y'all have here. We want to make sure that on this Friday we can answer a couple of things as well. We have a couple people here. I know we have Elliot here. Shout out to Elliot. He's been holding it down. Also as well, like Las Vegas. Hold up, I just saw this. The Las Vegas Golden Knights. So the thing is, I actually want to go check out that hockey. I think it'd actually be pretty legit. I've heard really good things about it. So I definitely need to peep the knowledge and get out there and check it out, because I've heard really good things about it. So maybe I need to get out there, go to a hockey game and check it out, because apparently it's like the place to be right now. So maybe again, I need to dive into that across the board. But all right, let's bring in a different element to the game here, and let's bring in Tom.
Hey! What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on? What's happening?
Hey, it's Friday, good day to cold call,
Friday.
good day to get after it, and it's
Yeah.
the weekend. And I get to be here with you, legendary, Muffins with Morgan,
Yeah, awesome. So Lauren asked a good question here. She asked me wins the week, but Tom, we can also ask you wins for the week. So let's have Tom. Let's have you go first. What are your wins for the week?
Man, I had some good ones. I generated some pipeline, got some clients through demo discovery, right? For those that don't know, I'm a founder, my own consulting company like Morgan, and just made some headway and some convos. I actually fired my first customer, so that was cool. My first potential client I kind of took away from the project, so that was empowering. Kind of had some growth moments this week as we talked, a little bit backstage, but yeah, it was a good win, good week. Had some good wins, conversations, and just some growth personally. What about you?
Yeah,
What you got?
I would say
cool lights.
I do. I got the lights. Shout out to the lights. Shout out to Tom to the show. Hopefully, y'all may have seen him around before. We give him a little, give him a little
Hey.
info. You know, you know. But wins for the week. I'm curious for you all. Lauren's a good question. What were you all's wins for the week that are listening in? We would love to hear it. So from my perspective, I'm gonna be very transparent. There wasn't a whole lot of wins. I'm gonna be real. Like, it really wasn't. Like yeah. I've been like, I really didn't win a whole lot this week. I don't really like talk about like that. I think people just need to be transparent. Yeah, I didn't really get a whole lot of wins. It was a week of literally being in the ring and getting beat up. That's just the
Hey.
that's just the best way to put it.
Like Eye
But
of the
what
Tiger.
it really was. But I would say like, what are the wins from that? I think number one is that like, when you're, some people probably are in this. Even sales is the same thing. When you're in the solopreneur journey, sales, it doesn't really matter. Like there are weeks that are just gonna suck, right? And so the win for me was realizing that okay, like I'm going through iterations of different services, products, etc. What I'm offering, and it was good. Just it was a good wins for people that have really good, let's say, experience in the market and are potential buyers that validated right what I was saying, right?
For real.
So that was like really that was like really big for me. It was like, okay, this is validating, like the vision makes sense. And right, I asked for transparent feedback and people gave me some tweaks, but I really like that. That was a win. Two was a win for me was so for the past 6 weeks, I've worked out 5 days a week at 5 a.m.
Ooh. Oh
That
shoot.
that is not easy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
I have like it's like a personal thing. I would say like that has been probably the biggest win for me. It probably has kept me sane. So yeah, like you can watch my IG. I literally wake up at 5 a.m. It's me going to the gym. It's 5 a.m. every single time. This morning I didn't go because I'm gonna do it during the day because it's actually nice. So I want to work out and then take a walk. So that was
There you
by
go.
design. But no, so the past 6 weeks, done 5 days, 5 a.m. workouts. Like
Wow.
it's
That's a
it's
habit.
not
That's a
it's
habit. You kind of
not
got the
easy,
motion
man.
now. Does it
It
feel
is.
weird today to not be doing it? Because you're gonna switch it up a
It,
little bit. Does it kind of feel a little weird?
Yeah, it does feel weird for sure. I wanted to just go to the gym at a different time. Like when I go, it's like by
Mhm.
myself and I'm cool with that. But I was like, all right, it's a Friday. Let me like go see other people. Like, because you're just working, it's just you. I was like, let me actually
Yeah.
see other people because it's just me acting like Batman in the morning, like working out, right? It's just like kind of like
Please wear
not
a Batman suit and go work
yeah,
out. I would die.
it's like kind of sus. So there's that.
Yeah.
But on like those were the two main wins. I would say also as well. A win for me was the new video content I have coming out in the next couple weeks. I can't
Ooh.
tell y'all what it's gonna look like,
Yo.
but the new video content, the team has been active and the content looks crazy. Like
Yo.
it's
That's
crazy. Yeah.
We've been
Yeah.
seeing the teasers, right? Everybody in the comments can shout out, like, and I was a part of that process, right? I was, not part of the process, but I knew about
Yeah.
what's coming and a lot of it. And it's still, when it actually dropped, I was like, yo, that's hype. Because it was
Yeah,
so good, right?
if you've
Like,
seen the video content, put a one in the chat so far, and also as well,
yeah,
share this out. Lauren's like, share this out on your feeds right now for live. If you're enjoying the content so far, share it out live on your feeds. Like, comment. Let's get people active in here on a Friday. I know it's a
Clubhouse days,
Friday right
bro.
before the quarter ends, so people are probably like, "Yo, I got things to do." But at the
I,
same time, share this out. Get people active and involved. But
yeah,
those are the wins of the week. If I'm being transparent, this was not. I have not had fun this week. I'm gonna be super real with y'all. Like I
yeah,
have not. like I
yeah.
really haven't. The only
Something
sync feeling
that's
has been the working out. Yeah, go ahead.
the thing that's helped me get through that because I've had it. I've had the lulls myself. This week was I had my wins, but I also had my losses. Right, I did have to let a client go. I had to learn some really interesting things about myself, and there was moments where the word quit came up. Right, let's be real. Let's be authentic. Right, it's a challenge. But what I've learned and what keeps me going is every day I'm getting closer to moving the needle in my favor.
Yeah,
And when I look at that, I'm just building. I'm a builder. You're a builder. We know that journey and what that looks like. Like we coach it all the time to SDRs. Don't go out there swinging for the fences in your first few phone calls. Encourage them to go through all this. And then now we're in it and we're like, nah, screw that. No, we got to just succeed today, right? And
right.
so
Exactly.
I'm learning the 1% better mentality, keeping that focus and just knowing like you said, You didn't have the wins, but man, you also learned so much to progress the needle to your favor next week and the week
Mm.
after that. And you got in the practice of the gym, you got in the practice of pitching and figuring out where your market fits. That's growth. That's wins. If you didn't go
Yep.
through that, you'd still be where you were last week. So it's like you're moving that needle to where it's going to get closer and closer to your favor. And if you're doing that every day, you can't lose. You're good.
You can't. I love that. So hopefully that was helpful for everybody out there. And let us know if it was this helpful information, because I think it's key. So I think this is a really good question here is, how do you keep yourself accountable, and what percentage of your goals are completed daily? This is a really good question. Like, I complete none of my goals. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So
Big
I'll
goose
go into
egg.
it. 0% growth. No. So
Calling us out, Natalie. Dang.
question for everyone in the audience here. Put a 2 in the chat if you do, like, if you write down your goals in the morning, or 3 if you don't. 3 like, yo, I don't do this at all. It's fine. There's no judgment. Like, I'm just curious. 2 is like, I write my goals in the morning or at night maybe. Or 3, you do not do it at all. You're like, nah, this isn't me. This isn't the thing that I do. Let us know in the chat on where you're at. So the way that I do this is new. So I used to write in my journal, but I've become weird where, like, I don't like wasting time. So like, I'm like, getting a journal and writing, that wastes too much time. So now what I do is, on my iPhone, they have like the notes section, and then they have like the check boxes you can have. So I just do like the different check boxes, and I write down like, okay, I need to, working out is one, like working out, walk, like 10 reach outs a day, make this proposal, whatever, right? So then throughout the day, I have that on my computer, so I can pull up my notes and then check mark it and be like, okay, completed, right? That's great. Completed, that was great, right? So then from there, I then can get that perspective across the board. And then again, that's helpful. So I found that to be just really, really insightful across the board. And I would probably say, I'm completing 75 to 80. Like, the goal is 100, right? But sometimes there's not enough time in the day. Some things are not as important. They were just there, right? And then it doesn't work out.
I
So that's the way I do it.
Shout out to you, right? Like the method of red, green, yellow, right? That's what I do. I try to prioritize. So I write out on Sunday what my goals are for the week, what things I need to accomplish, and then I bucket system them, right? From like, what's a good week? If anything,
Mm.
if everything goes sideways, if everything doesn't work out, what do I know is like like I need to get done this week or is top priority? Then next tier, right? Like, what's like other things that are next priority? I write them literally right here. I've got a whole thing, right, written down, priority.
Mm.
And then that's how I work, right? And I use ClickUp, right? I'll notate that stuff, document it as much as possible. I probably would say I hit 50%, every day. It goes
Mm.
sideways. I end up getting distracted. I go down a rabbit hole of working on
Of
my
course.
website or doing something else. And I'm like, why did that? Like, just be water. I went with it. It's progress for me, whatever.
Yeah,
But I'll
yeah.
get wrapped up in some stuff because there's no manual for what we're doing. There's no manual. There's no way to know where you can benchmark your progression. Usually in sales, you can kind of know your peers and be like, by month 3, I should be here. By month 6, I should be here. In what we're doing and in our world, there is none of that. It's ultimately your
Yep.
own personal journey to get. Now, there's some fundamentals to business, but me and Morgan, like, there's 2 different paths, yet they're the same apple, but
Right.
way different progression and way different benchmarks on anything that, like, you can't follow suit. I could go talk to founders and they're like, dude, I did everything you're doing, but in either 8 months or 4 months, or, it's just different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say 50%, and I just bucket. I just bucket on what everything needs to get done, and then I prioritize that. So even if I like don't hit certain things, I don't feel that guilt, right? I feel like, oh, that was like a small goal. I'm cool. I didn't get to it yet. Let's roll it into tomorrow and try again and put that on the list, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do, and that's been helping a ton.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. So, right, we're right at I like to call this the halftime alert, right? So this is what I'm saying. All right, like, and tell a friend at the halftime alert. And real quick, with the halftime alert, we got to make sure that everything is good to go. And so, we got the sirens going off, but also, so far, for those y'all here, the kids are also happy that y'all are here and asking really great questions. And also as well, let us know, is this been helpful? If it's been helpful in the chat, let us know. Say it's been helpful or impactful. We want to make sure that the stuff that we're giving you all makes sense. But the thing is, like, we brought Tom here, but
Uh-oh.
I think we might have another surprise for y'all. And I think he will answer this question best that we have here around the 30, 60, 90. So we're bringing in
Hey, what's going on, guys?
we're
coming
in
in amplified.
You don't know who you're gonna get on the show.
You're coming in amplified there, Ronan. You're big.
Oh man, I'm so ready. I'm so energized for this. Morgan, Tom, it's like a throwback to Clubhouse.
Shoot.
I know, but they get to see us, right? So it's different.
Oh man, 30, 60, 90s. It's like, where do we even start?
right. All three of us in this arena, like
you in. I was like, I don't know where to start with this one. This is me. I don't know. They need help though. I don't know.
What's going on, guys? So for those of you who don't know, I've been doing the SDR outbound function for 8 years now at 4 companies. Most recently, Stylo. Before that, Security Scorecard. Before that, SmartLink. And before that, I was actually in real estate. So fun times. And I've had to put together these 30, 60, 90s before. And the number one thing people want to see is that you have a game plan. Because let's be honest, day 2, you're throwing that thing out of the window. So it's usually just like, let's see what the plan is. Let's just make sure this person knows what strategy could look like. But the thing I want to hone in on there is like, you want to bucketize it into like the first chunk, the second chunk, the third chunk, and beyond. So the first thing is usually just lay of the land. What's going on? And then it's optimization, and then it's scale. But yeah, I could go deep in this. Morgan, I just have one problem though.
Uh-oh.
I didn't get any muffins. Was I supposed to like get some muffins?
I know. I mean, selfish. Next time when we come back, you'll get a big muffin.
Okay,
what's the muffin of choice?
Big one.
What's the muffin of choice?
I'm a simple man.
Banana nut.
Mine's blueberry.
I just like chocolate chip.
That's not a. What? All right, you're the chocolate chip guy. You like the chocolate in the morning. You like the dessert breakfast.
Oh man, this is great.
That's good.
All right,
how are you doing, Ronan? How's your Friday?
It's going. I've got I don't even know where to begin. I've got a lot happening right now. Just been off to the races here, but yeah, I'm focused on. I got a kid at home sick, so I was focused on getting him in front of the television, aka the babysitter. but right now I'm just trying to. That's right. I'm trying to end the week strong, get on the phones and hopefully get 1 or 2 more before the week is over.
Nice.
I want to talk about one thing, though, which is cold calling from people who preach cold calling that don't do cold calling.
Oh,
okay.
This is a topic I'm passionate about. This is something.
We're going to the jugular today. Yeah, you're going to be all right. We're going into it. Let's do it.
Canceled? Might get raked off the show. I don't know, man. Where are you going with this one?
But how do you guys feel about this? As soon as you get into training mode, you're teaching, right?
Yeah.
You might have been in the trenches, you might have done the job, but how do you stay relevant? Like, how do you stay on the current, on the trends?
I got to vibe with this just because I have 2 sides to this coin. Just because in the sports world, like if we were to take this same concept, because I'm a big believer in a practitioner, right? Like Ronan, like if you're going to be leading your frontline employees, do the work, know the work so you can be proactive and understand it. But then if you take this to like the sports world, how do we have respect for some of the great Greg Popovich from the Spurs hasn't played in over a long time, but he still lifts up those around him and can still get on the court and give you the fundamentals. He still understands the industry trends, what some other players are getting into. Why are the players not being, why don't you see those coaches getting out there if their team goes down, right? And they're like, well, I got to lace up tonight. Let me jump on the court. Give me the ball, or they get frustrated in the middle of the game because they're not scoring. They just rip off their shirt and they go get in the game and solve the problem, right? I see two sides, so I don't really have an answer beyond that. I do believe like these SDR managers, when you call them and they're like, don't call me, we don't do cold calls. And you go look and they've got like 15 SDRs cranking out calls on a regular basis. You just are like, what do you mean you don't take calls? How do you evaluate? How do you, lead by example for your team, or even take those calls to learn something? You might just learn. I like just taking them to learn from the pitches,
Totally.
learn things to take back to my team.
Yeah.
But do you have to be able to coach and lead and actually be a practitioner? Maybe in our world, but when you take that concept and apply it to other worlds, we give grace, and those people are lifted up as like highly respected folks, but they do not do the job anymore. They're teaching, they are coaching, and they're seek to for that.
All right, this is gonna be a hot take, so we got to reverse real quick. So I know this is how I feel about this one, and then I'm gonna go into your question that you had, but I need to talk about what Tom just said. If you are a sales leader, especially a sales development leader, and you're like, I don't really take cold calls, it's like not my thing. Just quit. Like,
yo,
stop. Just denounce yourself. Stop
Morgan,
leading your
Friday
team.
morning, going in on strong there.
I feel it. So listen,
it makes zero
Yes.
sense. These are probably the people who have their teams on KPIs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You need to make
Right.
50
They're
calls a
metric
day.
leaders.
But I don't
Yeah.
take cold calls. That's the worst karma of all time. I don't want that. So that's like my take on that. However, in the bucket of doing like cold calling training, etc. So I haven't done a call blitz since like in a long time, probably since like 2020. I'm just being super real.
Yeah.
I haven't
You've
had
called
to
for like 1,080 years though. So
yeah, exactly. So
like
but
Ronan
also
used to
I've
say.
The collective
I've done the
hours.
140 calls a day too. So I
Sure.
think the thing is it becomes hard to do the cold calls because your activity, especially if you're a business owner, it's well worth my time to just sit on LinkedIn and just biz dev like a maniac. I can get more meetings and more conversations that way than cold calling. Am I against cold calling? No, I would do it if it like all was, gone to complete oblivion. I would do it and I have the skills to do so. But what I will say is in those scenarios where maybe you're not actively cold calling as much, yeah, I think that's where you could take a step back, and then you have maybe that people that you coach or a mentee that can do your frameworks, and then that could be a byproduct of your test if you're not doing those active calls. So at least that's my take on that. But
Yeah.
Tom, you wanted to expand there.
No, I mean that's it, right? I think collectively the three of us agree that if you are an SDR manager or director, even you should be regularly doing the job, right? And or at least have a pulse on it, be willing to take those calls,
Yeah.
and just have a little respect for a few calls. The three of us, we're busy as hell. Ronan, you'll throw up on a random Friday afternoon on LinkedIn. Call my cell phone for the next hour, right?
That's my
Like
favorite thing.
we get hype, right? We're like cool with it, but we look at it from a growth mindset of we're just trying to practice. We're trying to get some cool new examples of openers, see what people are doing, and it helps us. Where these SDRs that are acting like egos, like they're above it now, like, I don't cold call anymore. I'm too good for that. And it's like, dude, you should be doubling down on your cold calling at this point. It's not an escape. It's now you double down.
I agree.
And you get into trenches with your team and carry a little bit of the quota. I did that for 3 years. I basically won top SDR of the year award, but I was the SDR manager. You know what I mean? Like
that's the best thing,
but,
right? Like if you have a leader, you want to see your leader getting in the trenches with you, because
Yeah.
what else inspires you than actually seeing the guy that is telling you every single day, like, hey, you walked in the office, it's 9:27, what's happening? You got to be here at 8:30. You know that, right? And it's like, but then that guy is crushing with dials and he's good. And like,
Yeah.
or he's the one that's going to stay late, show up early, put in the work. That's the thing. Like, Morgan, I know you're a fan of Kobe, big fan of Kobe. And like, this is one of his Mamba mentality things, which it is so applicable to the SDR role.
Yep.
Do the work when no one's looking.
Yes.
Because when people are looking, they're going to see the results from all the work you put into it. It's the same thing with leadership. Your team is always looking at you. This is one of my tips when I'm coaching first-time leaders. One of the tips I always say is, look, I don't care if you're having the worst Can I swear on this channel? I'm not gonna swear.
Don't do it. Don't get him canceled.
We're on LinkedIn. So, I mean, we're on other places. I mean,
Morgan's
it's
too
up to you.
close.
I just get passionate. I get fired up about this.
It's
You know?
up to you.
You're like, I don't care if you walk in here.
He can bleep you. It's like a 5-second delay.
Like if you're a leader, your team feels what you're feeling. They see every little detail you're doing. You better believe they're going to think about you differently if you don't get on the phones with them. If you don't make the calls, if you don't send the emails, if you don't get on LinkedIn. But back to your point, Morgan, like in this business that we're in, who cares about your lead channel as long as you're driving the business? So for you, that might be LinkedIn. Great. You know the channel that's going to work the best for you. Cold calling is a means to an end. No one does it because they legitimately love making cold calls every day. They're trying to get something out of it. So if you can get to that end a different way, more efficiently, more effectively, go for it. Sure. I'd love to see the day. I just watched one of these YouTube videos of this guy talking about the future of AI. He puts out this video. It's crazy. In 2018, Google had an AI assistant. You can look this up. It's crazy. They never released it because it was too scary. It was an AI assistant that would make phone calls for people to book appointments with like hair salons or restaurants. And it sounded like a human. It said, it chuckled. It had a human tone. So now if AI is in theory able to actually do that 5 years ago, what is going to be possible in the future for cold calling? When we can train AI to say like, here's an example of every single call ever made in the world, and now go find the best ones with the best results and then go make these calls 24/7. Like it's a means to an end, right? We're going to have to always adapt and grow. The mentality of cold calling never changes. Yeah. It's the mentality of hustling.
No, I absolutely love that. And I think with the AI component, I think here's the thing. Don't be afraid of AI, but if you're not doing anything, you're not skilling up, you should be definitely afraid. You should be, you're going to be like, like you might want to pay attention here. So I want to bring this up though, because who you
guys remember this?
Y'all remember this? The cold.
Oh, Chet, we did that for your team?
Do you remember, Ronan? So we did. Yeah, go ahead, Morgan. Tell him. You remember?
Yeah, no. Go into it, Tom. Go into it.
No, we remember. We were doing our Monday night. So for those that don't know, right? Every Monday night, Clubhouse is popular from like January to May of 2021, 22, 20. Yeah, like RIP. Ronan, Morgan, Brian, like we ripped it every Monday night. We'd get like up to 100 people in here. And Chet one night came through this panel and he had his SDR team in the stage with us, came up on stage and wanted to try the iteration of a new script and like cold call with us through this panel. And like, that's going back to the point, Ronan, of getting in the trenches, right? He didn't put his team on blast or make them go show up to Morgan and Ronan and Brian and like pitch them. He's like, let me go do it. Let me go test the script we're looking at. Let's go see what the greats think about it, right? Or these guys, right? And see what their opinion is. And he did it right there in front of, I think there was like 50 people at the time in the room, and some of them were his own teammates. And it was really cool. And now we have a close friendship with Chet now. Now we all know Chet, the sales doctor.
Sales doctor, Chet, appreciate you. Also, let us know if you want us to bring this back. We could do a Muffins segment just on this and bring people live. So if y'all are interested in that, let us know in the chat. I will only do things if y'all are interested. If y'all are interested, we won't do it. But if you want it back, then let us know, because we can orchestrate that. We got a lot of things that we can do back here to make it exciting. So as y'all let us know in the chat, if you actually want that, we do have a question here from Neil. Okay, the one focus for sales and marketing teams that they should double down on this year. Super curious on
this. Is yours, Morgan. Nah, Morgan, this is your stage. You've gotta. Me and Rona can't take it from you. You gotta talk about this, because you've been talking about this. This is your whole like theme.
Yeah, so y'all, this is my hypothesis. This is what I believe to be true, right? I can't tell you if it's facts because we don't know yet, but here's the hypothesis. When you're thinking about sales and marketing, it's always been the same thing. Sales and marketing alignment, no one's listening to us, it's not working, etc. What I believe where things are going is marketing is going to lead more to revenue marketing, which essentially means that they will be focused more on demand generation rather than lead generation, instead of just being like, okay, we got to get a ton of leads and all stuff like that, because you typically can't attribute those leads to revenue. And also, if you think about it, it's actually wasting your sales team's time because they have to go through the list. They have to go reach out to those people. They're not interested. You just wasted 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That's a waste of time, right? So where I believe things are going is that marketing and sales working together. Sales tells marketing, here are the pain points that our buyers have. Now, the problem is if your sellers don't know that, then that's a whole different conversation. But if you know the pain points of your buyers, great. So you give that to marketing. Marketing then says, okay, here are pain points of our buyers. Now we're going to create content around these pain points, but not just regular content. We're going to create edutainment content. So things that are like a show, a video series, etc. So that you're getting demand from your audience, and then you can convert them into a community, which then goes into making advocates on the marketing side. But how sales and marketing need to work together is give your marketing team the pain points so they can create compelling and engaging and interactive content. Most content in B2B is pretty stale. So that's why you want to be able to stand out and have that attraction level. And then from the sales perspective, their focus should be, we have this air cover. Now we need to make sure that we get better at discovery, we get better at our top of funnel, etc. So where should they double down? Marketing should double down on content. LinkedIn's a good channel. I think YouTube will be a good channel in the next couple months. This is, again, my hypothesis. And sales teams need to double down on discovery. I still think that your discovery needs to be on point. And also, I'm biased, but I think that you need to add in video in your sales cycle. The reason for that is because it's going to allow human touch. It's going to allow interaction across the board. So that's like my whole take on where people should double down. And that's where I believe things are.
Morgan, I love that, man. Especially the video piece. It humanizes a lot of like what SDRs and really what the function of where marketing meets sales, creating that demand and awareness, and sales taking it from curiosity to action, right? You think about that AIDA funnel: attention, interest, desire, and action. That's like sales is at the bottom of that. SDRs are in the middle of it, and marketing is at the top of it. That's usually how that setup works. But there's no reason why the teams can't be more integrated. The thing that always gets me when I see this internally at companies is when marketing and sales fight over dumb things. Like, here's the most common fight, like lead attribution. Like, who gets credit? To me, it's like, oh, come on, really? Like, we're all one team here. Let's row together. But that's a great question. Like, where to double down? I'm always a fan of content. I just think the content channels change. So content marketing is nothing new. It's been around for a while. Joe Paluzzi is like the king of content marketing. He's the one who runs content marketing, the events. He wrote the book. I was fortunate enough to meet him back in 2015, just when I got started. And I was like, oh, wow, this guy is like serious about the impact of content. At that time, it was more focused on blogs, but that's shifted to other channels. But think about it. Like, if you're trying to show that you are trustworthy, there's only one way to do it. Step up, show that you know something. Either teach someone, entertain someone, challenge an idea. Those are some of the most common ways to show that you are a thought leader, and thought leaders are trustworthy. And once you've developed trust, people are ready to take a look at your product. So yeah, that's a great tip, Morgan. Like, doubling down on content. Video is a good way. I think staying on top of the social trends is really important too. Gen Z, I don't know if you guys know this, Gen Z uses one search platform more than the rest, and it's not Google. It's TikTok. Gen Z goes to TikTok ahead of everything else when they're looking for information.
So I want to add to that point. I was doing the research as well. So Gen Z and millennials is even more interesting. Is they have seen an increase. I think TikTok might be banned, by the way. So that's a different conversation for another day. But like, so short form video, right? TikTok, like you said, has been increased. What I also saw though is that the only platform that both Gen Z and millennials have started to pay attention to more as well is YouTube. So it's been about like 10 to 15% more usage rate. All the other platforms have decreased besides the TikTok. So like LinkedIn, Instagram, Instagram is like on the way of death. Have all started to.
That's our new Facebook.
Oh my dude, Instagram is on the verge of death right now. But have all started to decrease. The YouTube though has gone up by 10 to 15%, which I believe that most brands, if they're looking to find the future decision makers or looking to tap into people who can be influential, they're going to look at YouTube because it's starting to increase. And then you obviously tied with Google. But I mean, you're not wrong. TikTok, YouTube, that's where everyone's going right now. Short form, quick, snappy, interactive, human, etc.
Yeah, I'll jump in and like one agree to all of that, right? I think YouTube's where it is going to go. I think TikTok will be on its way out. There'll be a new competitor, Vine, YouTube. But you got to think YouTube's been around forever. We
Fine.
grew up on that, right?
Vine.
We
Wait,
grew up
Vine's
on
dead, my
YouTube.
guy. Wait, hold up, hold
Nah,
up, hold up,
bro.
hold up.
Nah.
Bro.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Vine is dead.
Nah, bro. Watch. It's going to get revived. Watch. It will
It's
come back.
dead.
It's...
What, isn't
But I
TikTok
think-
basically just Vine all over again,
Correct.
but better timing?
It's just a better,
Yeah.
it's just a better layout and layover, right? So they'll just make it US based. They'll give it to somebody who they think can own the data and sell it back to the gov, but it'll be in house versus, out there. But I think YouTube's going to crush it, right? Video content. I actually think, like, from a sales and marketing perspective, and I'll go a different way, is I think messaging. I think messaging needs a lift, and I think storytelling is like the biggest theme of my year and a lot of orgs on how to storytell a little bit differently with that human. And I think that's where video comes in, Morgan, and people are going to dive into that because it'll create that story. Imagine going onto a website, going to the customer case studies, you click on it. Sure, you have the article, but now there's a live, very engaging video of the client sitting down with the team, talking about the growth that they've had and the experience. And that's what captures your attention on the website. Now you feel that emotional pull, you believe it. Because ChatGPT and all these other things, man, you can make up a whole case study on your website and look cool. But when you see the video, it puts truth to it a little. I mean, there's still ways to fake that too, right? But you get it, right? It just creates that human connection. So I think storytelling, a lifting in the messaging, I think sales and marketing can double down on that to where it leads to revenue, Morgan. It's not about the leads anymore. It's not about the eyes. It's how do we drive revenue? And so marketing and sales will now have to collab because they're going to have to find ways to work together, and marketing is going to be like, all we know is to push eyes. So we need your support for us to close this. And sales is going to be like, we only know how to close. We do not know how to build the messaging and get it out there like that. So they're going to have to unite. And when they do, it's going to be a force. And you've got video, you've got content. Your marketing team is actually supporting the employees. Hey, I would think, quick little side thing, if I was a company and could afford it, I'd actually build a micro brand team for my employees within my own org. I would build it. I'd hire it. I'd get a couple reps and some coaches, and I'd hire them internally. And I would have that entire team cover my employees that want to get into branding. And I would support them and provide that extension and let them be supported. And then the company gets all the content as well. That's part of the agreement, right? We're using it. We're pushing it out. We're doing long form content directly from our own SDR, from our own AE telling a story, from our own VP. And you have this little extension team that's building brands within your org. They're ghostwriting for you. They're providing the content. They're doing everything to lift up your employees and company. I think it would be a really cool kind of flip the head kind of team function.
No, I agree. I think that would be extremely important for a lot of people because you're bringing in collaboration, team, etc. Most people they operate in silos, and that's the reason why that's happening. But we have about 10 minutes left, and I know you two are taking your precious time on a Friday. So let the people know, like, what are y'all working on so people can get more attached to what you said, your story, and what you're doing.
Take it, Ronan. You can have that stage, my friend.
All right. Yeah. I'm going solopreneur, full out on my own. It's exciting. It's terrifying. It's honestly, I did a lot of soul searching. And by the way, if anyone wants some recommendations for discovering your strengths and being able to actually take them from up here in the cloud and bring them down to earth in a practical way, I did a lot of work. But some of the tools I used to get there were some incredible books and some of the Gallup assessments around strength finders, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I just realized, like, I love teaching. I know about cold calling. I've been in the SDR trenches for a while, so that's what I'm doing. I opened up a boot camp for cold callers. The next one is going to be on Valentine's Day because I love cold calling, February 14th, 4 weeks. And also check out just ronenpessar.com or my LinkedIn. The two big things I'm doing is coaching first timers or people who want to level up as an SDR leader, and cold callers who want to get better in 4 weeks. They want to go from whatever level you're at to that next level. Those are the two big things I'm focused on these days.
Good stuff, man. Well, people definitely need that during these times. Tom, talk to us.
Same, right? A little bit different direction. I've been 4 months in my journey. I took off, 16-year sales vet, got to take that experience, that opportunity, and package it into helping orgs do what I love to do, which is set up their outbound motions or improve the ones that they do have, right? I'm working with companies that have, a team of 7 and things just aren't working right now. And that's okay. So they want to seek outside help, right? And get that direction and that guidance. So I'm just helping people with their GTM motion, building playbooks. I've recently discovered, kind of like Ronan said, find your strengths, find what brings you that passion, because when you go to market for that, it's game over. Morgan can't be stopped right now, y'all. Like, very dangerous, man. Ronan, very dangerous, because they are lined up. They have got their targets and they are running. And for me, that was kind of playbook design, getting into playbooks, lifting up companies with process and operations and building.
Tom, can I just say you're not doing yourself good enough service here. Let me just tell you guys, Tom is a wizard. Tom is a wizard.
Whoa. Wait, we got to bring it back. All right.
The dude has put up dozens of these online playbooks of your company's entire motion. I could never do something like that. It was my biggest pain point as a manager. I was always like, I don't like documenting process. I don't like writing this down. The dude knows how to stand it up like this. And if you're having trouble with it, Tom's your guy. You need to talk to Tom, because he is literally an operational mastermind. Like, the guy can put this stuff together in his sleep.
There you go. There's the justice. I appreciate it.
There you go, Tom.
That's my biggest lesson. Y'all, like, full transparency. My biggest lesson is, and you two inspire me, Lauren in the crowd, Larry, like, y'all can brag on yourself and do it very well. And I'm not talking bragging in a bad way, but like, Ronan, you put it out there, Morgan, like, and I'm trying to get there. I like lifting everyone else up around me. I'll be your biggest cheerleader, but I can never do that for myself, right? I'm all about putting a limelight on everybody else, right? Like, yo, check out Morgan, baller, right? Ronan, get it. Don't look at me. Don't worry about me. I'm over here. I'm just Tom. And it's hard, right? And so I appreciate that, Ronan. So thanks for the plug. But yeah, that's what I'm working on, man. That's where you can find me. LinkedIn's my jam, right? I'm on LinkedIn, and that's where you can DM me. Hit me on that Instagram, that old cemetery. I get an Instagram DM lately, Morgan. I'm like, whoa, that person gets my attention. I'm like, hey, what you want? It's wild.
I love this. So some pretty cool comments coming in. Travis says, big facts to you, Tom. So that's cool. We got Scott on YouTube saying a playbook building roundtable would be fire. We could definitely do that. We're always open to new ideas. That actually would be pretty crazy if we got a team and we broke it down, if they're willing to do that. Scott, that would be pretty cool. And then Lauren says you're the biggest homie. So, you got some love there in the chat. So this right here, though, y'all, hot question alert. Y'all, this is
Ralph?
This question is a good question.
I think about that every day.
Because we
just gotta keep moving
earlier, right? I feel like this is the theme of our conversation right now is how do you keep yourself centered? And man,
it's not easy.
I had to post it today. I kind of posted my post on LinkedIn. Like, I had to go outside to the patio and sit down with my CEO, my wife, right, and just hash it out. Like,
reverse. Wait. Whoa, no one was ready for that.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
What?
I get it, Tom. I'm there with you.
That's how I keep myself centered and focused, right? Is I think going and having the support, because your own voices can be the most dangerous damn thing. And it's been fed for however long that those things creep in. I had a big loss this week too. And it sucks and it hurts. And I was deep, man, like crying in the shower, laughing in the morning, with my cup of coffee, right? Like, but I think having a board of directors, as Galen calls it, and Morgan, you've shared about this once in your other podcast, Deep in the Archives, bring that one back too. Just have that board of directors to go to and keep yourself, centered and focused, and be okay with finding those 2-3 people to trust and, hash it out.
Tom, you're on my board. You know that. I call you like once a week.
Me and Morgan have gotten to that lately, right? Like, it's okay to be the voice note game, right? Like, just being authentic and having somebody to where, that question you always ask somebody, like, hey, do you want comfort or do you want the problem solved, before you get into dialogue, right? Like, Morgan comes to me, I'm like, yo, you want comfort or do you want problem solved, right? And he's like, I just want comfort. Cool. We just hash it out. We have a great conversation, and you got to have those people where it's okay to just let it out, and there's no agenda. There's no help me get there. Just hear me out. I just lost a client. Like, it sucks. I feel really shitty. Oops, canceled. Wait, pause. Like they've been doing it, and then now they're like, wait, pause.
I was gonna cancel you for that.
But I think that's where it comes down to is having that people to. You can't keep yourself focused sometimes and centered. I think Morgan's probably going to touch on what he does, because I'm getting into this tank idea, and really getting comfortable with checking yourself and getting very internal. But that would be my cue, is just have a board of directors, those folks, to be able to hash it out, get it off, let that baggage go. Because if you try to compartmentalize it and try to hold it in, it's going to get real rough.
Yeah, that's so true, man. I mean, you got to have the people you can call. It's your 3 a.m. friends, right? Like the people that you can call 3 a.m. and they're going to pick up the phone for you. Those are the people you want in your corner, and you want them lined up, knowing what you're going through, so that you can just hit them up when things are getting tough. Like, the losses will happen. The hardest thing to do is to try to see them as learning moments, because in the moment it hurts, but usually there's a lesson in there. Like, why didn't this work? Why did I lose that deal? It just happened to me also, Tom. Like last week, I was talking through a big internal training deal, and the thing just fell apart.
Yep.
And it happens, but I learned a ton through it. I learned a lot about how to price things better, how to do better discovery, all the basics. You go back to sales basics. It's like, as soon as you go out on your own, you're like, wait a second, I forgot how to sell. But I've been selling. Right. Okay, I know what I'm doing here. Let me just get back into it. Like, do some discovery, do some deep dive, like really get into it, create an ROI, like all the basics. It's the same thing. Nothing changes. But yeah, you gotta be able to unplug. I think that's one of the things I feel fortunate about it being. So I'm a observant Jew, which means every Friday night, Saturday night, I don't use my phone. I don't use my computer. I shut off for 25 hours. And that is a blessing in my life right now, because I otherwise would just be on it all day, like just going, and I have to turn it off. I have to.
That's a
I love
good
that.
one.
I think that's great. I think that's great.
Andrew Mayborn shared how to turn your phone off for a whole day. Once a week, turn your phone off for a whole 24-hour period, right? So it's to your testament, Ronan. Is pick a day for you and don't pick it up. Just leave it alone, right? Life will move on. That's another big thing, is like, the day will come again. Like, life will go on.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective. I think that's really helpful for people as well. Ralph also said phone detox is a good idea. Ralph, hopefully you take that in. Yeah, like for me, I just leave. I'm not saying leave as in I get on a plane and just go somewhere. I just like leave my apartment. I just walk, and I just don't really think about anything. And like this week has been literally in a boxing ring, just getting knocked out, like Tyson punches. So like, it's kind of similar to you, bro. It's like I had these deals, right? And I was like, all right, like this is it. It's going with the launch. We're good. I'm fired up. I'm like, yo, we're about to be out here. Then boom, boom, budget. It's just y'all have experienced it. Like, it's crazy out here. And I was like, wait,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so like, wait, okay, so do I have to change everything now? Like, what? Like, how do I need to approach this, right? So I literally was like talking with my friends, like, yo, I don't. Like, I gotta I'm calm about it, but I gotta rethink the entire thing. I gotta take a step back, take a Saturday, rethink it again. And like, that becomes the frustrating part for most people. That's where most people will quit in anything, right? It's like, I'm not hitting my target, I'm not hitting my goals. I started something, I have to pivot. Well, I'm just gonna not do it, right? And I think you can always look back at when the time you said, okay, I just need to pivot and change what I'm doing. You'll always look back on that 6 months later, right? And be like, wow, okay, I'm glad that I just pushed forward and tried to figure that out. So that's like me right now. But also, how do I keep myself centered? I always like just look at the goals, right? Like, I'm just gonna pull this up for example to let you know I'm not just like saying things. Like, I have like all this like written out, right? I got all these different goals and things of this nature just written out, and it's next to me, right? So I'm looking at it being like, okay, like, what are we trying to do? Like, how are we trying to accomplish these things? Like, what makes sense right now? And so I always have that perspective. But it's also, someone told me this, and I think it's really good. And you can always use it outside of what you're doing today. Someone always remind, they're like, remember the moment when you did something really great, and try to remember that feeling, and then use that feeling that when you experience something great to push you forward, so you can feel the feeling again. And so I was like, oh, that's just a good perspective, because you're not always going to be killing it, right? So don't get fooled. Don't get fooled, y'all. Like, like, it's not gonna happen. right?
I love that, Morgan.
And I always
You
gonna be
gotta see
killing
You
it
got
it.
to
in real
bottle
life.
those feelings.
Keeping it real.
You gotta find where to pull from, right? Because those lows are gonna come, and it's just like an SDRing, right? And around your peers and stuff, like pull from something, right? What is it that you can pull from? That why? Get that feeling in a bottle, right? And be like, man, this is what I'm doing this for. Sometimes you just gotta have. I think you kind of taught me that like 2 years ago, Ronan, or Morgan, over the last 2 years, is the power of reflection, right? Looking at the power of reflection, just being a fly on the wall to your content for 2 years, right? Kind of that was an underlying message periodically is just reflect, right? Understand how far you've come, acknowledge those things. Like, sure, Morgan, you had some losses this week, some things happened, but then imagine and reflect on, yeah, but you out here doing your damn thing, right? Like you're doing your thing. Like it's, you're still cruising in comparison to other things or even where you were 4 years ago. Right. So I think reflection is a very, very powerful thing to keep yourself centered and focused. Is just reflect, because we have 100% success rate on the bad days up until now. What's going to change? I think of things 5 years ago when I remember those deep feelings where I was like, this is it. This is nothing's happening. But now 10 years later, I'm here. 5 years later, I'm here. And I'm like, I remember how worked up I got in that situation. Like I thought life was over, but now look where we are.
Exactly. No, I love that perspective, and it's great. So, Ralph, thanks for the hot question alert and coming through. Hopefully that was helpful. Mark's trying to roast y'all. I don't know if y'all got beef.
Mark, get out of here.
I don't know what's going on here,
Mark.
Yo, Mark, man.
See Mark
right there.
He would be in the clubhouse room. You remember?
Yeah.
He had some clubhouse rooms.
Mark could just give him a mic and a stage in 3 hours, and he could just go.
Oh my goodness! No,
we love
that's
Mark.
actually
Mark, good people.
100% facts. Larry, shout out to you. I saw you come in the room earlier. What's going on? Y'all, we're right at the hour. If anyone has a lasting question they want to throw in for a rapid round, you can. But Tom, Ronan, where can people find you?
Right here,
LinkedIn. Yeah, right here with Morgan now. Well, physically, I'm in San Diego, so if anyone's ever traveling to SoCal, please let me know. I love meeting up with people.
Wait, I'm coming in March.
Wait, shut up. Wait,
I really am.
I'm driving up.
I didn't know you were in San Diego. Yeah, I'm coming in March.
That's why I tell people. I always get that response from someone. They're like, "Yeah, I'm going to be there." People come here a lot, so Morgan, we got to get together, man.
I'm 5 hours away. I drove up to Ronan on a spur, right?
I spent a day with Tom. It was a great time. We walked on the beach. It was beautiful.
Yo, I'll show up, Morgan. Tell us what's up. We'll come through.
I'll text y'all and let you know when I'm coming. Dude, I love San Diego. It's always a good vibe.
Same.
Hey, when Morgan moves to Arizona, he's only going to be like 5 hours away. Just saying.
I'm on a drip campaign to move to Arizona. So
I've been nurturing this lead, Ronan, for like a good year. I'm waiting for the yes to come through. I give him a little value here and there. I just touch base. I check in.
Here's a word on housing prices.
I just drop little things. I talk. I show him people that have come from Atlanta that now live here.
Just start sending him listings of places where he can move to. Just be like, yo, check this one out. It's got a studio.
Yep. I'm getting the mini demo,
under Morgan.
The whole thing. I'm like, all right, here we go. This is happening.
Always be prospecting.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm out in San Diego. Alex Brucci just reached out. He's like, hey, I'm coming there next week. So if anyone's around next week, come hang out with us. But otherwise, LinkedIn's where I'm at most of the time when I'm not on Muffins with Morgan.
Well, I mean, look, I think some people said that they wanted the cold calling live. Y'all, we could set it up. I mean, we can get people to come on. They'll come on live actually on the call. They'll do a mock cold call. We'll run it through. It'll be an exciting time. It'll be the 2.0 of the Clubhouse room. RP Clubhouse. Don't even know the last time I've even been on Clubhouse. It's been a long time.
People don't know what they're asking for. That's opening Pandora's box right there. Chet will tell them. Chet and Mark will tell them. You want to open that box.
It got crazy in there one time. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
One time, it always got
crazy. No, but one time someone just was so unprepared, and they weren't ready to just get roasted. And I was like, look, I'm not trying to roast you, but this is just not gonna work, my guy. It's not.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
We also had Brian singing opera that one time, and Sarah Brazier joined, and she was also singing.
Man, we got hyped in that. That was cool. We'd be in there for like an hour, 2 hours, man. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Trying to rope the four of us together though was rough. We'd always be picking. Morgan would be like, I might or may not be there. I might cruise through.
Morgan would be like, yo, I got a training. I got to bounce right now. Later.
Yeah, gotta go. Gotta fly. Gotta do it.
I got a Europe training. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
going on my Europe tour. I'll be back.
Times are different now. You know.
Now look at us. Now look at the three of us.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you both. Thanks for taking your time on a Friday. Make sure y'all follow these two. They have really good insight. They have good knowledge. And we will plan to come back with a cold calling segmentation for y'all. So without any further ado, y'all, hopefully have a great Friday, great weekend, and we'll see y'all next time.